Hello everyone, my name is Mahmoud Habib. I'm the Quality and Food Safety Lead for the Global Emerging Market Region for Mars Incorporated, the segment of confectionery, Mars Review. I'm going to talk to you today about the food fraud. Mike? Is it okay like this? Yeah. Sorry. So, I'm going to talk to you today about an interesting subject, which is food fraud, which is concerning everyone in the food industry, but not only this, it's concerning us as humans. So because we are getting exposed to this type of adulteration every day in our normal life. In our kitchens, in the restaurants, the daily food we are eating, we are exposed to this kind of risk. But before I go in details, I'd like just to give you a quick introduction about my company, Mars Incorporated. Mars is a family business started more than 111 years ago, 1911. When Frank Mars started making homemade chocolate at his kitchen in Tacoma, Russia. Then we started the business, and we are currently having more than 80 sites around the world and 125,000 associates. We have some of the lovely brands I believe most of you are familiar with them, and even your kids and your families are in love with those brands, such as Twix, M&M's, Snickers, also some of the big food brands like the Royal Canin, Pedigree, Whiskas, and also some food brands, rice brands, tomato paste, and other types of products. In Saudi Arabia, we started our business back in early 2000 when we started in the market. But recently, in 2012, we started our lovely factory in King Abdullah Economic City, making a locally made Galaxy chocolate and co-packing M&M's and other lovely chocolates as well. We are now having more than 150 associates in Saudi, and we are exporting to more than 6 countries. This was just a brief introduction. And why Mars is really concerned about food fraud? Because we are consuming more than 8 million tons of raw materials every year. So the last year, 2021, we consumed around 8.1 million tons of raw materials. So you can imagine the amount of risk we are facing and the amount of hazard and the work we need to do to make sure that every single ton of those raw materials is safe. So we produce it and we deliver it to our consumers, and we are 100% sure that our product is safe and meeting their expectations. So when we talk about hazards, we are facing the same hazards every food manufacturer or every factory producing food is facing. So the 3 main hazards everyone knows and everyone in his hazard plan actually is working on: the chemical hazard, physical hazard, and the biological hazard. So everyone, I believe, is familiar with those hazards. But there are more hazards now are being introduced to the business, such as the new technologies. So now people are very sophisticated, slides are very sophisticated, and there are modern technologies to do this kind of food adulteration and food fraud. We go up to the GMO, so that's why now we have regulations and analysis for things like the GMO. The second thing is bioterrorism. So, and these are the intentional act driven by behaviors and ideological backgrounds. The third one is the commercial adulteration, seeking more money or creating more benefit out of the food fraud. And we believe that it's a domino effect. So everything starts at the crops. So in the farm, where we grow those crops and we grow those cows and sheep for the production of our raw material. If it started wrong, it will go wrong through the supply chain. So it will go wrong to the logistics, handling and transferring those to the manufacturing facilities. Then it will go wrong inside the manufacturing facility itself. Then it will go wrong. Then it will reach to the consumer with risk. So that's why we believe everything needs to be controlled controlled from farm to fork. It's not only our plants, it's not only inside the factories where we need to apply controls. So the definition of food fraud, so we have a global definition, which is the deception for economic gain using food. So people are trying to make more profit, to make more money out of food fraud. So giving you some examples, these are not related to Mars, but some examples from the real life. So for example, the oregano, I think all of you are familiar with this green leaves. So in Australia, they did some consumer researches on 12 samples collected from the market, and they discovered that 7 out of 12 samples are adulterated. They are mixed with other leaves, like olive leaves or olive samples and sumac. So 50 to 90% of the samples were adulterated. So we are not. So whatever you are putting in your food is not what you think. Okay. Another example was in the UK, where they did some market research and investigation and discovered that 25% of the amounts in the market are adulterated. So they are not pure. They are mixed with other leaves and green things as well. Another famous example was the meat from Brazil. We all know that Brazil is one of the largest meat producers in the world. Back in 2017, they did an investigation locally, and they discovered that around 21 sites of the meat manufacturing site are using rancid meat. And they put some additives and things to hide the color, to hide the smell, to hide the acidic impact of the meat itself, and they exported to many markets, including Saudi Arabia. Back then, when they discovered this and when this was published, some of the countries, they had to change their supply chain and to start sourcing from other markets, such as the EU, China, and Chile. So those two examples shows how it could be different and how it could be in anything. Any type of food and any type of raw material can be adulterated. So back in 2010, some reports were showing that the size of this industry or the impact of this is around $10 billion. Only 4 years later, this was duplicated. This was reported to be around 30, if I'm not mistaken here, 30 to 40 billion dollars. So you can imagine now in 2020, after 8 years, how many digits we can add to this number. So why? What is the lead? So what's the motive behind the food adulteration? Why it's more common and more famous? Simply because there is a way to do it in every product. So every kind of raw material, spices, meat, milk, honey, chili powder, there is a way to do the adulteration. For example, for the chili powder, the red one, they put Breaks, the red Breaks powder, they put it in the chili powder, or they add colors to it. The honey, they add sugar, or they add glucose syrup to it. Milk, of course, they add water, they add different things to the milk. So there is a way to do it in every raw material. And at every step of the supply chain, it's not only in the farm, it could be in the farm, it could be at the first step of changing the raw material to an in-process material, or even producing the final product itself. And sometimes it's very hard to detect some of the food fraud types. So even with analysis, the very advanced analysis, chemical analysis, and things like this, sometimes it's very hard to detect. And now the food supply system is very complex. So you have supplier, and this supplier might have 5-6 suppliers, and those 5-6 suppliers might have more 5-6 suppliers. So it's very hard to trace and to go to the origin of the material and to identify all the steps that happened until this material reached to you. So it's very hard to confirm at which step exactly you could expect this kind of food fraud. And finally, that the reward can be high. So they gain a lot of money out of doing this. So that's why it's very, very profitable for them. That's why they do it all the time. the risk is increasing currently? Because now food can be exported and imported from everywhere. So before we used to have famous countries known for a specific type of raw material, but the globalization we're having now broke this rule. So now we can import and export to any of the countries. It's not only this trusted market that we know. We can find the same material in another market with a cheaper cost. So everyone now is going for cost cutting. So that's why sometimes compromisations are happening. A greater consumer distrust. So now consumers are more aware. So they have more question and they check the ingredients list. They check everything. That's why they are trying to find more ways to do this adulteration and to hide it. The increasing consumer demand to claims that's hard to be proven or declared, like this is organic, this is natural, this was ethically sourced. So those things, there is no analysis to prove it. That's why they can go around it and they can do all the things they can do. Because there is the government or the consumer is not going to have any kind of analysis to detect it. Yeah, the new and emerging challenges like the climate change, the increasing regulatory requirements as well, and finally the crisis the world are going through, like the COVID-19 and recently the Ukraine crisis. So now people are forced to go and to buy products from other markets. They might not do all the testing and evaluation process to make sure that this is safe. They might take shortcut because of the inflation and because of the increasing cost and because of the shortage of supply. So when to Mars, so for inside Mars, how do we react and how do we try to prevent this kind of fraud? First of all, it starts from the mindset. When we recruit people, when we hire people, we induct them with our 5 principles. So we are principles-led company. Our 5 principles are quality, responsibility, neutrality, efficiency, freedom. When we come to quality, we say consumer is our boss. Quality is our role, and value for money is our goal. So consumer is our boss. So we do everything to satisfy our boss, to make sure that the money is paying for our product is getting the right value out of those products. Then responsibility. Quality is not a responsibility of a specific function inside Mars. Everyone takes care of quality. Either he's in operation, he's in commercial, he's in supply chain, he's in sales, marketing. Everyone is inducted in quality, how the right product looks like, and what's her role, and his role to make sure this product is delivered with the right quality. Then we have our ethics. So we have a policy and we have our ethics at Mars. It's a mandatory training that everyone in Mars must go through, and they must acknowledge that they are familiar with Mars ethics and they are following Mars ethics. So we start with the mindset. Second, we have our QMP. QMP, we call it quality management process. It's a procedure, and it's the main umbrella covering all our quality and food safety standards. And it's not only covering our operations in our factories. It started, as I said, from farm to fork. So it's covering our suppliers, our facilities, our contracted facilities like our coal mines, our warehouses and everything, and also the market and the market activity. So I'll give you some examples. So here in the left, you see, first of all, suppliers. So we have NQM. NQM is material quality management. PQM is packaging quality management. Those are two standards concerned with suppliers where we do develop and manage suppliers and material quality. And by the way, those standards are not quality and food safety responsibility. They are responsibility of the commercial function. That's why we are saying quality is responsibility of everyone. We have competent people working on supplier identification, supplier development, and supplier management. They are aware of quality and food safety requirements, as I explained later. And ENQM is the standard where we manage our external manufacturing product. So again, quality people are hired to manage the quality at the external facilities. go to our factories, our Mars managed factories, we have the normal quality and food safety standards that most of the factories are having, such as GHB, hazard implementation, allergen management, and everything. And our IVT program, which is inbound verification testing, when we do the required analysis for all the raw materials and packaging materials we receive at our facilities. Then we go to the market, where we have our SRA, scientific and regulatory affairs function, and corporate affairs function, are looking after the market, the compliance of our product to the regulations in the market, and if any adulteration or someone is counterfeiting our products in the market, it's their responsibility to take correct action. Then, our products in the market are managed through a standard called DQM, Distribution Quality Management, our traceability standard, our holder release standard, and our recovery standard. And covering all this standard called PRIM, Product-Related Incident Management Process. So, when there is a fail at any step, at any stage of those processes, we know that we have to interact. So if we receive a material with a problem and it was used on the production line, we activate the PRIM process to do the required hazard analysis and to scrap it and to assess the risk and to do all the required actions to make sure that this risk will never reach to our consumers. Even if it happens and something found its way to the market, we have our recall process. We activate our recall process to get everything back and to make sure that this will never reach the hands of our consumers. So a deeper look in our MQM, material quality management. This is just one process I'm taking as an example. As you see here, first of all, it's a continuous process. It's not a linear process. Okay? We start with something called material risk assessment. Material risk assessment is a global format where we have a subject matter expert for each single raw material. He's either scientifically authorized or he's having like a PhD or a great experience with this specific material. He's taking care of this material. He designed the material risk assessment for this specific material. He put all the expected hazards, including chemical, physical, biological, and even the hazard of adulteration as well, and food fraud. He puts all the possible hazards, and any unit of Mars sourcing this material, they have to apply this material risk assessment on their material. So it's different. It will be different based on from where they are sourcing, and the season, and all the other risks they have to include. Then, after completing this material risk assessment, we develop a specification for the material. And those specifications might be different because there is a unit in Europe sourcing from a factory in India. The specification is not going to be like a factory in Saudi Arabia sourcing the same material from Brazil. So risks are different. So the MRA is going to be different. So specification might be different as well. Then we do the supply risk assessment and approval. After we know now what we need, so the specification of the material we want, we go to the suppliers, we do supplier screening, and we check which supplier is gonna deliver the maximum amount of compliance points we can require. Then we work with the supplier to develop more. We start with them as we give them like initial assessment. Then he's gonna be in development for 6 months. And if he proves that he's following everything correctly in the first 6 months, we move him to an approved supplier for 2 years. And within those 2 years, if he's meeting all the requirements, he's going to be an assured supplier after 3.5 years. So this is going to impact the audits we do on the supplier and the testing plan we do for the supplier. So this is a very complex process, but just to explain to you how everything interacts with each other. We agreed that we will be having an MRA that will make the material risk. We are going to have a specification. We will do supplier validation. Then we will be having an audit score for the supplier. We will work with supplier development, and we will have the supplier review where we get a performance index. Performance index means how many shipments or how many deliveries from this supplier were meeting our requirements. And it always needs to be more than at least 98% of the deliveries. So anything under 98%, we degrade the supplier and we push him to the next stage. So if he's approved, he's going to push him into initial assessment. If he's assured it's going to be approved. Then, out of the material risk assessment, auto score, and performance index, we will decide the supply status, as we agreed, and then we will decide the material testing frequency, then the audit frequency will be supplied. This is something newly introduced to our quality system, only in 2020, the vulnerability assessment by our third version of QMB, which was released on 2020. Now every site is required, plus the MRA, to do this kind of assessment as well, to make sure that a specific study or a specific deep dive in all types of food fraud was assessed. There is a control for everything, there is a control measure for everything, and there are people taking care of it, either in the supply chain or in the factories itself. So, just sharing some examples how food fraud impacted us, impacted Mars very heavily, especially in the markets. This is one example in China. So, one online seller was selling our royal candy product as it was adulterated. It was counterfeit cat food. It's not our product. He was making this product with huge amount. He was selling it online on Alibaba. And after investigation between Mars and Alibaba, it was detected, and the website had to pay around $2.76 million for the people and for the claims and everything out of this problem. Another one, so in Russia, September 2018, we discovered huge amounts of counterfeit orbit gum in the market, which was not produced by Mars. And we discovered around more than 500,000 cases in the market. And after investigation, we discovered that this product was imported from China, and there was a facility in China producing this in a very highly sophisticated production line and selling it to Iran, Russia, and some other markets. So 15 people were arrested, and the facility was shut down, and of course the supply, this kind of supply was stopped. The last one, a first wrap or a wrapper, product wrapper in the US that was supposed to go for scrap, but it found its way to India, where they used it to wrap a locally produced rice treats. So it's not Mars product, however, it's packaged with an M&M lovely brand look. So just showing you a few examples how this impacted us heavily in the past. Finally, so food fraud, if you want to limit it or get rid of it, it requires a lot of work. It needs to start with identifying the motivation or the root cause of that drive this kind of activity, and to identify the sources. Like, who are the suppliers expected to do this? If it's employees, contractors, distributors, or counterfeiters even not working with us. It's a lot of work. It's a continuous journey, so it never ends. Every day we discover a new technique of food fraud, or a new method, or a new material that wasn't in the list before. So it's a continuous journey